I should be recording. Yes, this is a recording, not a live stream. I'm not even at home. I'm several miles away at the time that this will go live. Um, yeah, doing some fun physics work. Uh, anyway, we are in Titan Quest. Hook in OBS. Come on, you can do it. There it is. Okay. It's weird because I can't. It doesn't hook in if I'm alt tabbed. I need to go back and forth. All right, there. Like that. So let's yeah, keep going. In an area that is actually not that easy. I think I remember playing this from the other character, and yeah, I'm gonna die quite a bit probably. It just seems like the difficulty progression just takes a rather large swing up once you get into the Orient. And this is towards the end of it even, so it's doable. It's doable. I've done it before. And without farming anything either. I didn't start doing any XP or gear farming on the other character until I had actually beaten the base game. Haven't moved on to Immortal Throne yet. So let me see. What have I got to talk about? Oh man, this week has got things to talk about. Unfortunately, mine is a little rattled just because I've also been working on some other things, including, I think I mentioned before, just some stuff where I'm collecting a lot of data for an article. And I've still been, I haven't collected more data for a while, but I've been doing more processing to it. That's interesting, making more graphs.
I used to go there with offerings, but when I last went...
Yeah, just definitely some interesting stuff there. It's a fairly low priority. It's not like it's a review or anything, so I don't know when I'll finish collecting data for that, but I do have several things that are higher priority for me because, you know, I need to get them done by a certain time. But outside of me, let me see, this week had, well, today in fact, because this is the Thursday, I'm not going to have time on Friday even to record it, so sorry that any news for Friday is going to be missing. It's not going to be here. But today, AMD launched the second generation Ryzen processors, which it's interesting to read some of the stuff on it. Like one thing I found, it is an improvement. It is unquestionably an improvement, but some of the changes are not necessarily as significant as people thought, or the way they have changed not likes. So, I mean, it still is an improvement. Yeah, as I said, it still is an improvement, but it's probably, unless the cache latency stuff is something that you especially are concerned with, and you are committed to the AM4 socket, AM4 platform, it's probably not going to be worth upgrading from the first generation, unless it's something like you going from a Ryzen 3 up to a Ryzen 7 or something like that. Yeah, one of the things I read though, I think it said it was the Stilt who did it in the Anantech forums. Read through a good portion of that, not all of it. I didn't quite have much time. Yeah, that can stay. I think he was mainly just looking for 2700X, and that while it is better, one issue is that it takes a lot more power. He was finding it's like the 2700X. He said the TDP is 105 watts, but he was seeing it have sustained power draw of. So that's not so good. Yeah, I mean it's you wouldn't want sustain to be that high. So he's not too happy with the TDP, but the chip still performs very well. So he does wonder though how the 2700 might do in terms of efficiency, because just how the silicon quality may work out that may actually end up using less power, but it may also not clock as high. One thing though that I've seen there, and I think I've seen it in at least one other place, I just don't remember where, that and then the word just exited my mind. Oh yeah, the overclocking potential is not really there or worth it. That's like, you know, yeah, you can overclock these, but the margin is kind of thin. And also that the XFR, Extended Frequency Range 2, that is so granular, and it's automatic. This is just the boosting of the cores themselves, managed by the BIOS and microcode. Come on. I hope the game hasn't crashed. Normally it doesn't crash when it does this. It just gets stuck needing to reload. Anyway, wait, that the granularity to XFR2 is so fine that what Stilt was recommending, and I believe someone else was basically, you probably don't need to overclock it. That the chip will just drive itself up that well for you. Alright, it's not doing anything, so back to here, so I can just restart the program. Come on. Have to wait for it to sync the save file. Which, you know, that is definitely a neat thing to see. But and this is also part of the stuff that I've seen two places. I just don't remember the other place. He was saying that actually trying to overclock it may lead to worse single thread performance, because single threaded the XFR2 boost will cap out at 4.35 gigahertz. And hang on, pop it back over to the game. But you're not going to be able to overclock all the cores to 4.35. You may hit a wall at 4.1, 4.2. Depends on how high a voltage you're willing to go to. So man, oh wait, no, what the? That's weird. Oh, forgot to do that. So yeah, you really are, you know, overclocking may not be the best idea there. But one thing I did also see, though, is that and this goes back to the TDP. That's kind of weird. That okay, and I still have all the items. The coolers that they come with are very good, actually. You know, like out of the box, you can actually overclock on those coolers, and they work nicely with XFR. So yeah, it's just a weird thing. It will be interesting to see a review deeper in depth, and I haven't looked at what reviews we may still have pending. I've been busy. Going back to that data stuff I was talking to earlier. I spent probably 2 or 3 hours this morning just messing around with that, trying to get some graphs to come out the way I wanted them to. And yeah, so I have no idea when I'll be revealing any of those graphs, or if anyone will care. But I'm having fun. I'm learning better how to use R and the ggplot library for it, and I am finding some interesting things. To me, at least, there is some interesting stuff in this data. Bullshit. See, I said I will die. That will happen here. The loss of the frames dropping there was unfortunate, but it's just in here that you have enemies that will just boost each other so effectively. I mean, look at that. I don't. They have range. I mean, you get ganged up on hard, And I have just lost all that XP from the first thing. Because I didn't hit. I don't think I grabbed it before I died. I mean, these aren't even as bad. The like, centaur dragon things, those are worse. The magical, the ones with magical attacks, those things are horrible. They just, and there's gonna be several more. I think I already ran into some in the last video. Oh man. But it's also, as I said, it's just weird. It's like there's a significant ramp up difference between Egypt and the Orient, so Act 2 and Act 3, and without spending the time to farm experience and items, it does feel like you're at a great disadvantage. One thing I saw that was interesting, it was in the Gamers Nexus review, and I didn't look through all of it, I only looked through some of it. They tested for the CPUs for streaming and compared it to the A700K. Pretty sure that was it. And it was interesting because for some settings, I mean, you can always tweak the settings of a stream of the encoder to make this not an issue. But I think it was at 1080 using X264 at the medium preset. I'd have to pull it up, and I just don't feel like that is like the 2700X was able to reach like better than 95%, I think it was, frames successfully rendered in time. But the A700K was down to 30%, which, to be fair, medium is not necessarily that easy. Here, let me actually look. What do I have this? I don't think I'm using medium right now. No, I'm using fast, but that's also I could. What the? Oh, that was awkward timing. I thought I might have crashed again because I was all tabbing in. No, I'm using that. I hate those things. Okay, I got it. At least they're kind of glass cannons, but getting to them can be a problem. Yeah, I want to hang away from him. These guys. Yeah, so I'm using the fast preset, which is one step above medium. But I'm also normally doing two encoding streams when I'm streaming. And I could probably go to medium. The 1950X is probably going to be fine doing that. I haven't felt the need to push it because I'm comfortable with recording at least to just go to a higher bitrate to let it have more of that, and I can stream at 10 megabit. Like that is in fact what I stream at to YouTube, so it's like 10 megabit at fast. It's gonna be it looks fine. And I'm trying to remember now what color settings I'm using. I don't remember. I know that for the recording I do that. For what recordings I do, that's always at full color, so 444, and the 709 color space, which is the largest OBS offers. So yeah, at least for me, it's the largest. I don't know if it's capable of like 2020 or DCI-P3. I don't know if it's capable of those, but because I don't have a display that enables that, like the GPU wouldn't render at that, so I don't know if that precludes it from OBS. But yeah, it's just like an 8-core CPU does better with a highly multi-threaded encoder like X264. So yeah, I think they did also mention that no, you still got a higher frame rate in the game with the A700K, but the encoder was being choked by the fewer threads. Because remember, it's 2 more cores on the 27 in Ryzen 7, really, but it's 4 more threads because you still have the SMT multiplying it by 2. So the other thing I can talk about, that this was the beginning of the week though. Also AMD was them finally putting out a statement that they didn't call it out by name, but yeah, everybody read into it as being exactly their response, their official response to the NVIDIA GeForce Partner Program. With how that program, at least according to, it's a weird thing, basically according to the only information we have, which is from only Kyle Bennett, because after that everyone was saying that, yeah, sources just won't talk to us anymore. They will not comment on it. We cannot get more information. This is all we have. And Kyle Bennett wasn't just interviews with people that he can't name. It's also he's seen documents, or he has actually copies of documents. But that part of it was that companies like Asus, Gigabyte, MSI have to be part of GPP. They have to align their gaming brands exclusively with GeForce, which it looks like that is if there's a competitor there. So there's still with Asus like ROG and Gigabyte Aorus branded motherboards, which, you know, it's like that was kind of we're not sure, because those are AMD products, and there's also Intel products there that would be labeled under the gaming brand, but NVIDIA doesn't make chipsets anymore. They used to. And that was a long time. So I guess those are fine, but Asus launched the Asus Aries, which is now apparently going to be the Radeon exclusive GPU branding. But yeah, AMD finally gave an official response on that. That was... Some people were saying that, would describe it as, this means war. I don't necessarily read it quite that strongly. That's me though. I mean, you can find, I put up a news item on it, had the AMD source, you can go and read it. It's at radeon.com. And yeah, I mean, okay. I want to make sure that items are showing up properly. I didn't read it quite as strongly, but it was still a very strong statement of saying more or less that AMD's values are freedom of choice, and that's why we do things to we work with partners to develop technologies. And then they cited some like I'm sorry, my mind just blanked a little. That's not bad. Just for the hell of it. Yeah, so I could. But I'm not going to. Do want to hold on to it though. I know there's demons coming up, so having that extra thing there may be helpful. But AMD, citing how they worked with JEDEC for the HBM and HBM2 specifications, working with Microsoft on DirectX, working with Kronos on Vulkan, working... Actually, I'm not sure how FreeSync and Adaptive Sync quite... If they worked with Visa directly on that, or if they submitted it to Visa and Visa approved it as the Adaptive Sync. I'm not entirely sure on that. I just don't remember, but still, AMD's just citing, here's all the work we've done that everyone has benefited from. They specifically called out with Far Cry 5. Worked with Ubisoft to get features in there that would take advantage of advanced Vega functionality. I think they describe it as advanced Vega, which is the Rapid Pack map, and that this improved performance for us, but it wasn't to the detriment of anyone else. Meaning, hey, you know those stories about the different GameWorks APIs tanking performance on us and even other NVIDIA cards? Yeah, but we don't do that. That's not what we have track record doing. What else did they say? Oh yeah, that they were that they are working with add-on board partners to develop new brands. That was in there. And it was the same day Asus announced Ares. I would think that Gigabyte and MSI they're also working with. I didn't do a comparison, by the way, just visual between Ares and ROG, but it looked like the cooling was the same, because that was one thing I saw some people were talking about being worried about, that a lot of times the gaming branded parts have essentially the gaming version of the cooling on it. So there was the concern that going to that by losing the gaming marketing, that you would also have a technical loss as well, that you would have an inferior product. It looks like with Ares that is not the case. And in the press release, which it was weird, I couldn't find it on this website, but Video Cards had it up in its totality. But it did go through and name several things in there for just how their cooling system is so advanced on the Ares. So it's I'm not sure exactly how things will work out there, but at least it looks, as far as how advanced it is compared to what NVIDIA would get on a ROG, but it's just interesting to see that maybe there will be some differences between them. Hard to say. It probably wouldn't develop any differences for a while, though. But yeah, and so presumably Gigabyte and MSI will both also announce new lines in the coming weeks. Hard to say who will do it first and when. They both obviously do have a partnership with AMD still, because they both are still doing motherboards, and you wouldn't think that either would want to lose AMD products. Well, AMD GPUs, so it's... But when NVIDIA is saying do this, or we stop giving you money resources and actual hardware, actual GPUs, at launch time, you kind of will capitulate. So, yeah, that's... And one thing that was interesting, I watched one video today, because I looked at OCC's site, and Kyle Bennett had shared this video, but he also was calling out that there is one thing in there that is wrong. Because there had been rumors that he got paid by AMD, which he very flatly says, no, I've never been paid by them. And was even making some jokes about it too in their forum. It is true, though, that AMD did come to him and other journalists. He stated in the original thing that the story was pitched to him by AMD. But a story being pitched to you and actually being paid, compensated even for a specific story, that's different. Even then, there's the question as far as you may see some sort of compensation. Like, some people would say that even just, like with me, when I receive a review copy of a game, that is a form of compensation. But it's not like there's a requirement that I like the game. Although I will admit, I just have fun with games, so a lot of times I know I do say, yeah, the game's fun. I may not be, screaming from the roofs, but I'll still say, yeah, it's fun. And then, if I recommend it, I have a lot of qualifications there, but I still will just enjoy games, and then I'll see other reviews for it and people talking about how bad it is. It's like, Well, I guess that's there, but it was still fun. Um, that's just a me thing, though, with how I do that stuff. But I don't, I see that as different than, say, somebody actually trying to get a specific result out. What the hell? Okay, there we go. At least that was off. Okay, come on, let me move. See, this is why I hate these guys. There. But it was weird. I tried doing the right mouse button, nothing happened. And at least with the not healing, I mean, it's like, okay, it's on cooldown, that's why that was happening. But yeah, I know I can say that I've never been asked by anyone to give a positive statement on anything, and personally, I wouldn't. It doesn't make sense. Because it's also, to me, there can be a game I absolutely love. I can still find criticisms for it, and I will still give those. So it's, I mean, there are definitely times though when I don't have criticisms and I like a game, like Wolfenstein 2: The New Order. It's like that is the earliest that stands out in my head for a game where I actually was left just saying I have so little to say here, because it's just, things just are that good. It's like I have no criticisms, and nothing stands out as, oh my god, this is so wonderful. It's just good. It's well done. It's what I want, what I expect. How do you capturing what that means is not necessarily easy, because you know it's. I'm trying to think of an analogy.
Why, yes, stranger, you are now on Shiyun Mountain, but how did you?
I have to find one of her sisters, and this one. Hang on. This is a weird quest. I remember having to look it up because it doesn't involve backtracking, but it's just a. I don't think it involves backtracking, but it involves going a long way before anything. Yeah, it is always weird whenever you have. I'm gonna have to go back to. Oh, that's what this is. That's right. I have this on my other character, and it's nice. What is it? 75. Oh, come on. Yeah. No. Oh, that. I don't. Yeah. Alright. Alright, there. You know. Yeah, I'll just pop back now and take care of that. Come on, there. Yes. Yeah, it can be hard to write a review of something that when it's just done well.
How could you pass up such
And
a
I've run
staff
into
as
that
this?
a few
Oh,
times.
have
That
you
was
seen
one I
the
know there's been others,
craftsmanship
but
on
they're
this
just not
bracelet?
jumping out of my mind. Yeah, that's not gonna be worth it.
By now.
I kind of wish there was something I could go to heal
Do not
myself
carry
for a
your
little while.
house on your shoulders. I will treat your goods like my own.
I'll yeah. I'm keeping the torch. I want to kill Typhon with the torch. It's just such a fun and silly weapon. It's just a torch. But yeah, going back to that video, where was it? I don't remember what the source was for it, and I feel like I definitely should. but part of what the guy was talking about, and he reiterated the rumor, and it isn't true that Kyle Benning was paid, but he was also talking about how he has long been a fan of AMD's and Nvidia's, and basically whenever Nvidia reviewed a product and asked him if he'd like to review it, he was like, hell yes, send it over. So he's been very displeased with how Nvidia's been handling the GPP stuff, and that to him, he sees it as, if there's nothing here, why are you not talking to anyone? It's like, I have this good relationship with you, but you're not talking to me about anything. Why? And that's kind of the point a lot of people are making, is that Nvidia really isn't making any statements about this. That can't be because, of anything good. That's the conclusion they're drawing. Because if it really is this one form transparent thing, then why aren't they just telling people, no, this is what was misinterpreted? And it's like, the lines from the agreement that Kyle Benning was citing or talking about are, it's like, that those are misinterpreted, or, we've changed the terms of it. No, there's been nothing like that. So it seems to be very much Nvidia wants it to go away, and now AMD is responding that they're going with freedom of choice as their continued mantra. Because the evidence they were given for them going that way is stuff they've been doing for years. And it goes back farther than what they list. Because AMD helped develop the GDDR5 spec as well. What the heck? Sometimes it doesn't want you to just hold. See, here we got demons. Alright. So yeah, it's just, I do wonder though with AMD if they will double down on some of that stuff, or if they will continue as they have been. We'll see. We'll just have to see. But it will also, we're getting like to the end of the beginning for this story, I think. I mean, like, definitely AMD making an official statement is the end of the beginning. But it will be interesting to see how it continues to progress. Just will... Some people have been contacting... I'm not kidding. This is part of what that one video that Cardos shared was talking about, was that there were people that were contacting the FTC and EU Commission on this stuff to investigate NVIDIA, to investigate the GPP, to see if there is actually something there that is anti-competitive, monopolistic, antitrust, stuff like that, that would make it illegal. And it's, if that actually does end up developing, that's into a lawsuit, that would be very, very significant. I know at one point Kyle Benning himself made a post saying that he would not be surprised and would expect that Intel may try to sue NVIDIA because the new Kaby Lake G processors that have a Radeon GPU in there, those would actually be kicked out of the, this is not GeForce, those would be kicked out from the gaming titles as well. And there is competition there. It's not like with motherboards, because it's like gaming laptops. Couldn't necessarily use that. In theory, at least. From what it seems, from what we've seen, what's been talked about with GPP, those would be excluded. He would think that that's something Intel may try to sue over. And Intel has the time and patience to continue such a lawsuit, whereas AMD might not. No, it happens when... I'm trying to remember, but I think at one point I saw that like AMD's full budget is less than like Nvidia's R&D.
Worthy traveler, welcome to the Jade Palace. I have been here without company for many years, and would enjoy the delight of a conversation with you on matters of philosophy. But sadly, we have no time for this, as a shadow has swept across the land. You have slain 2 Terkin already. Quite an accomplishment. But stopping the third will be far more difficult. If you do not stop him, he will surely free Typhon. Our existence is threatened. The gods won their war with the Titans only to surprise and deceit. However, their tricks will not work a second time. The gods banished all the Titans except one. In their hubris, they imprisoned the one they hated the most, Typhon, under a mountain. He was eternally chained to that which he wanted to rule, but could never possess. Now, the gods' hubris may be their downfall. Typhon is imprisoned on the Wushao mountain, not far from Chang'an. If you hurry, you may be able to stop the Terkin from freeing his master. Take the passage below my chamber. The challenges ahead of you are more treacherous than those faced by any mortal. The future of humanity rests on your shoulders. May your skill and wisdom be armor against the challenges you face.
There's enough like actual story stuff there that I wanted to be sure to let it go. Okay, so there's that. I actually want to pop back. Yes. So yeah, it takes you that far to actually get to the Jade Palace itself. Pretty sure it's this guy right here that I need to talk to about the one quest.
Noble warrior, thank you.
I'm just trying to remember where. Where Three Sisters is. But I want to go back. Because that last waypoint shouldn't be too far. But also... Oh, that's right, it's S. Alright. I haven't mainly made this. What would just this? Oh, I didn't realize I had I'd gained a level and not done that. Alright, yeah, that's actually a good idea. So I'll be able to unlock more things soon. And now we got more of these guys. Okay. Let me just think now. Is there anything else worth talking about that I remember seeing? Saw another rumor that the GTX 11,000 series, 1100, sorry, not 11,000, 1100 series, will be, what was it say? I didn't write this one up, in June, I think? I don't know, right now, there's like so little, it's just speculation, it seems. It's like, there's still rumors around what the name will be. One thing though that I do find a little unfortunate in a way is, and it's just to me, it is just to me, that how it sounds like some people are just saying that Turing will be the gaming GPU, because that's part of the rumors, is that there will be a gaming and a compute focused versions of the GPU, and that Turing will be the gaming. It's like, I associate Turing with, very directly with computers, with doing computations. So personally, I would have wished that Turing would be the compute and Ampere would have been the gaming. But then there's also the Volta and Ampere going off of each other, so the Volta successor being Ampere does also make sense. But it's still, to me, I feel like it's all just speculation right now. Either because some of the stuff isn't true, or because NVIDIA is doing that good a job of keeping rumors from happening. One thing that I do know, and I guess that this seems to dispel it, was that supposedly the Pascal, so the 1000 series, was done. That manufacturing had even stopped. NVIDIA recently had them for sale, and yeah, part of the evidence for this was, oh, they're no longer for sale in NVIDIA's store. It's like, nah, they were on sale again. Now it's possible one could say that was just the last shipment, but it still makes it hard to say. But one thing, did I talk about this last time or not? It's not really new news, and I could write it up, but I don't want to. I don't think that it's impactful for OCC. That the launch of the 500X series of GPUs from AMD, and they're just OEM rebrands. Maybe there's a little tweak to them. I could see like something in the BIOS just with like, the voltage is a little nicer. I could see that at most, but I don't know. I'd have to have the products to look at anything like that. But otherwise, it seems to be just no, exactly the 500 series. They've just been renamed for OEMs. So yeah, that's why I don't really think it's helpful to really put that up, because it's targeting OEMs. OCC, I expect, is going to be more about the cards you can purchase separately from add-board partners. Yeah, that might have been last week. Oh, I did see, and this really shouldn't surprise anyone, ASRock is apparently, along with the Phantom Gaming GPUs, is apparently also going to, will be putting out mining-focused GPUs as well. So, focused graphics cards. Which might be good, might be bad, it's hard to say. If the mining ones can undercut somehow the sale of gaming ones to miners, then that would be good, assuming stock can keep up with blocking the demand, even pretending to just getting close to that. That would be helpful. But it's hard to say. It does seem like I have seen some people talking about it. GPU prices are appearing to stabilize, though I haven't seen a good explanation for why, or at least a good long-term explanation for why. It's not like I've seen something saying that, oh yeah, memory prices have been coming down, and that's why. There have been some things that would, in theory, mean that the value of the coins being mined. Hang on, I just want to look at something. Okay. 43 minutes. I really want to get to that waypoint. I have so much more I need to do, so much more work I want to do today, and but I needed to get this done today as well. It's like, well, this is due Saturday. Everything else, I have a lot more time on, even though I want to get it done more. So yeah, I want to be able to get to that. But yeah, having miner targeting GPU graphics cards could be what cuts down on what really helps cut down on, but let me see, some of the stuff, there's supposed to be a fork to Ethereum, I think, that in theory would have dropped its price, or would have made it harder to do on GPUs, so that they would become less profitable, so fewer miners would be buying them, the supply would go up, so pricing would go down. But the problem there is this, and when I wrote up that story on it, even with the Ethereum ASIC, which apparently that has been delayed. I think I saw somewhere. The company that makes that has had to delay it. Not that there even was a release date for it to begin with, just a target of like Q2. It's been delayed from that. And I'm sorry, my train of thought is not staying on the tracks. But I don't think that would explain it. And also, there's more than one algorithm, and some that still run very, very nicely on the GPUs. One thing I want to see, people talking about how, well, in terms of the Ethereum change, it's like, well, but who mines Ethereum? Monero is more profitable on at least AMD GPUs, and there's... Actually, I think it's for both. It can be more profitable. It just, NVIDIA and AMD, you just use different algorithms between them. There. So many raptor teeth. Alright. Huh. There. Alright. This is actually not a bad... Let me... Wow, it's actually worse than either of those. That surprises me. Oh, forgot to swap back. Cryptocurrency mining is just such a weird thing, and its impact is weird. Like, one thing that I do kind of wonder about, that because I actually had this happen with something a book I wrote, put up on Amazon, where Amazon actually reduced the price of it at one point, but it wouldn't impact how much money I made from it, so they were cutting into their own profit. But the reason why they did it is, I wonder if it's something that might also be going on with the GPUs. Because this was an ebook, so supply is unlimited. And it was also, this happened at a time, well, no, they dropped the price of the physical copy, but at the time, this is also an ebook version of it. At the time it was around Christmas, it was the first Christmas after I published it, and I decided, screw you. I decided to, make it free for 5 days. And it sold very, very well as free, so I wasn't making anything off it, they weren't making anything off it, but because it was selling so quickly, like, it actually reached kind of high on their list. They dropped the price because they figured it would help with selling. So, but that was something where the supply was limited. That's not what was being listed. It was just the demand was very high and fast. I wonder how speed impacts the algorithms that are pricing the GPUs. And just I could see there being a weird effect going on, that because the GPUs are just always selling out very rapidly, that the demand is very fast, that is driving up the cost and by some amount. So even if supply were not an issue, were less an issue, if it were not an issue, then neither would the pricing. But if supply were less of an issue, maybe it would still, though, see the prices be higher because they sell so fast. I guess one way to put it is that demand isn't just a question of how many do you sell in a month, but it's also a question of how many do you sell in week 1, how many do you sell in week 2, week 3, week 4, and if if you're receiving a shipment once a month, it's like that information is important, that factors into things. So it's just, is that throwing it off? I don't know, and I think that could be an interesting thing to look into, but there's no way anyone outside of a company like Newegg, like Amazon, or any other e-tailer or retailer of GPUs could, because their algorithms are going to be proprietary and are going to be something they keep secret, which is fine. That's their right. But it's just, it would be interesting to crunch some of those numbers, and also to see, you know, what their actual sales numbers are. Yeah, but we'll just have to see what happens. And I've said it, I'm pretty sure I've said it on the stream. I know I've said it to people in private, as in people in real life, that with, yeah, I'm sure I've said this on here before. I don't know why Nvidia would want to launch, like, AMD needed to launch Vega because they needed something in that segment. But Nvidia's got a product stack from top to bottom. AMD now has one. Short of refreshes, why would either release anything new, any new graphics cards, any new GPUs, until this stuff is under control?
You can't carry anymore.
It's like, it doesn't make sense, because the moment you sell it, the moment it goes on sale, what's going to happen? Prices are going to leap up. That's what happened with Vega. And that was even before people knew how... Oh, sorry, wrong place. Yes, that's right. Okay. That's before people even knew how well it may be at mining. That the pricing shot up, because that still took at least towards the end of the week, I want to say. The release week. Oh, I didn't actually mean to sell that. Did I? I can go. So yeah, I mean, it's like,
By now,
it does make it. It's like, so with that, knowing that, why would you put anything out sooner? And before you're ready with all that, which I think should translate to, if that were to be done. Oh man, oh my goodness, I need to go in and use the TQ vault to deal with this stuff. I'm coming up to here, by the way. That traces back to right there. Oh yeah. Okay, so then yeah, when I come back, that's when I'll end the stream. The last waypoint is quite a ways away because of this circle I'm running. But yeah, until what I would hope is that one or both companies would just put out a compute targeting, a blockchain chain targeting GPU, and let that soak into the market a bit to hopefully stabilize pricing, and then launch an actual new GPU. I mean, maybe not so much with AMD because their budget is so much more limited than Nvidia's. It's like Nvidia could definitely do that. They could, if it is Ampere and Turing, let's say Ampere is the compute and is very good at blockchain. If they put out a consumer targeting card like that specifically to grab miners, if they could put that out and then like a month or two later put out Turing, and assuming that Ampere in that amount of time could lightly load on Pascal, I think that's what would be optimal. Because Nvidia doesn't make more money just because Amazon charges more and Newegg charges more.
Warrior.
That's not how any of this works. They get, because a company like Amazon or Newegg, they purchase their graphics cards from a company like Asus, MSI, Gigabyte, EVGA, Sapphire. They purchase it from them at a certain amount. Those companies purchase the GPUs from AMD and Nvidia for a certain amount. AMD and Nvidia only make that much. Doesn't matter how much any of the onboard partners mark it up, doesn't matter how much the final retailers mark it up. That does not go back to AMD or Nvidia unless they start charging more to sell the GPUs to the onboard partners, and then the onboard partner would pass it on. But I remember when Vega launched, there was talk, and some of it was actually untrue, It was a misunderstanding of certain statements. But there was some saying that Vega was unprofitable at that price. That AMD was actually selling those packages at a loss to the Anmore partners. And it turned out that wasn't completely true. Technically, there was a situation where AMD actually was taking loss, but it was only for Europe. It was just because of how some things were for Europe that it was actually more expensive for AMD to sell the parts to there. So they had to have a rebate. But in most other parts of the world, like North America, no, they were selling at a profit still. Might have been slim, but they were still selling at a profit. And over time, that's of course going to get better. I saw that they were in there. But yeah, so it's going to be weird to see what happens with the next series of GPUs from both, either. It'll also be interesting just because I know with AMD, Navi will be 7 nanometer. That there won't be a 14 nanometer Navi or 12 nanometer Navi. There's going to be a 7 nanometer Vega targeting compute. Some people are hoping that there will be a 12 nanometer Vega or even a 12 nanometer Polaris. But no one knows for sure outside of the company. I don't remember if anything's been said about what NVIDIA wants to do. If they launch a series this year, it almost certainly won't be 7 nanometer. Will it be 14 or 12? Don't know. I don't even know if TSMC offers a 12 nanometer. GlobalFoundries does. That's what Ryzen is using, the second generation Ryzen. But I don't know. I don't know what TSMC offers. I don't remember. Intel's working on their 10. But that seems completely separate. See, I don't know when NVIDIA may try to go down to 7 nanometer. It wouldn't be this year, it might be next year, so that would be the 12,000 series at the 1200 series at the earliest. And it's hard to say what architecture that will be. Because I remember one thing that people realized after it released and they were looking more closely at it, Pascal is in many ways a mass scale that's been die shrunk. It does also have some improvements, but it's when people were just setting to the same clock speed, they were finding that the IPC even, that things like that were identical between the 900 series and 1000 series. So, would they do that again? It's very hard to say. They might, they also might not. They have the money to do more than that, but it's also a, hey, we can go to 14 nanometer from 20, oh wait, no, they went to 16 nanometer. It's like, we should do that because it gave them a tremendous boost. Pascal is a success, unquestionably. So, of course they would do that. So yeah, we'll see what Volta basically will be. I don't know how Volta really stacks up for gaming prowess, because there aren't really any gaming GPUs using it. But it's very strong, but only in some workloads. Where was it that I saw that? No, I don't remember. But there have been some people that actually have gotten the Titan V, and they were comparing it against the 1080 Ti, I believe, and the Vega 64, and found that it is actually not as powerful as you would think. Sorry, I needed to do something. The reason, there's a specific reason though. It's because the tensor cores that allow it to crack 100 teraflops power, they do allow that. That is possible, but it's not for all workloads. I don't remember if it was saying that it was like only FP32, so floating point with 32-bit accuracy, or if it was with FP16, but it was something like that, where one but not the other was capable of it. So if you wanted to do Okay, let's just assume, and I could be wrong here. That was either earlier in the week or even like over the weekend. I saw this. That let's just assume though that tensor cores are for FP32, so not FP16, and they don't do the rapid pack math thing like Vega. It was actually like just in the realm of the 1080 Ti and the Vega 64, which is not that impressive considering the cost of it. I mean, true, for FP32, it stomps them both. But if I am accurate, and that is FP32 that tensor cores do, but FP16, not so much. Which then also, because of that, it works out in a way that, depending on your workload, even scientific workloads can still be fine doing FP16, not 32. You may be better off getting a 1080 Ti or a Vega 64 for that. Just it's interesting when you start actually new technologies like the tensor cores to actually start looking down into how they their use cases with their most efficient. But that's definitely something that will change. They will improve that. I mean, rapid pack math is something I'm sure that NVIDIA is going to create their own version of. Because I don't think they offer it quite yet. Offer something like that quite yet. Which, my basic understanding of that is the compute front end in Vega 64 and 56, so the Vega 10 GPUs, is 32-bit wide. It can accept instructions 32-bit wide. What rapid pack math allows it to do, though, is to take two 16-bit wide and put that through, treat it as 32 and put it through, which is not normally how things work. Normally, without that, like this is how Polaris does it. If you have a 16 wide instruction, it's 30, but the thing itself can support 32 wide. It just uses 16, and the other 16 is just wasted. Rapid pack math allows it to combine. That's why it doubles the through. Why it doubles the performance. I just want to. But
The forest of the ancients lies to the east. Great danger lies beyond these walls. Monsters pound on them.
Who do I talk to? Because it is, I just need to go through those doors. That's the next portion, but I need to talk to somebody first. Yeah, it will be interesting to see what more comes with the rapid pack math. Let me see. Doom is okay. Do I need to talk to this guy?
The great master Confucius told
What is What is dealing damage to me? That is
a
so
caravan
annoying.
is like memory that never forgets. So long.
I'll solve this guy.
Fine arms, firm armor, fit for the Emperor's guard.
Yeah, so
See what
it
suits
appears
you.
there is a Doom game coming.
Long life.
So there's
What you
but
cannot
that's-
part
well,
with. Leave with me.
id. I'm pretty sure it's id that's doing that. Well, the id tech engine at least is seems to have proven itself to very much like Vega. To like AMD in general. So it will be interesting to see that what ends up happening with that. Will we see that continue? That is in with whatever this next game is that. Yeah, because the person at Bethesda
So long,
teased
noble
it as
hero.
Hell on Earth, a lot of people that was like
You
the
found the
name
Jade
to
Palace.
Doom 2.
Amazing. You
But
are
some people think that
truly
means
an
it is a
epic
sequel
hero,
to the
worthy of
Doom
all the
game
poets.
that's going to be announced at
It was
E3.
thought that the Yellow
Or before
Emperor was
E3.
just a legend, No one living had ever seen him. Wu Sao Mountain is not far from here. Find the gate that leads to the
yeah, 'cause
forest of
I
the
don't know.
ancients.
At
Beyond
least
the
one thing is
forest,
Bethesda
I
had their
hope you will
press
find the
conference
Titan's
before
prison.
E3. It was the day
Wait.
before.
Before you go, I know I did not treat you well when we first met, despite saving me from humiliating imprisonment. I am truly sorry. After all you have done, I am glad to have known you. Please do not let the deaths of our brethren be in vain. All my hopes and the hopes of all humanity go with you.
Alright. So now I should be able to go through those doors, I think. I just want to check that before I end this. Oh, come on. There. But yeah, that will be interesting to see. And also, oh, good. There's also, when is AMD going to put out the new driver with the rebuilt driver stack? Because that's something they've been working on for a while. And I know some of the stuff they've been doing a good job on already. Like, the fact that the Linux driver is almost completely to the point where a portion of the drivers between Linux and Windows can actually be shared, and they are actually getting to that point, which would allow features when they come to the Windows driver then also come to the Linux driver as well at the same time, so they don't need to maintain them separately. They can maintain just this one core portion, and it goes to both. There. And there was something I saw recently on Phoronix that I think did say that they're still working on that, but that gap between them is narrowing greatly. So there's that, and also just AMD's been working on a full driver stack rebuild, and people are hoping, we don't know though, that is when some of the features that are built into Vega that are not used in general have to be directly programmed for. Some people are hoping that is when we will see them unlocked for everything to take advantage of. But yeah, we will see. And I also just realized I made a small mistake with the game. I'm going to respawn in the wrong location. I'm not going to respawn in there, but fortunately I can use the waypoint to get there. Anyway, this is almost an hour and 10 minutes. I got stuff I need to do, so I'm going to stop now. I'll see you next week. That's really all there is to it. At least, I have something on Friday. I don't have something on Saturday, I think. Things change. We'll see. See you next time.